So I represent to you now friend A here. They are the one who always receiving awards, recognitions, or achievements from all over the place. And we got another friend here called friend B, the one who is a close friend of friend A, yet someone who is always watching A from afar. Well, in the situations where B is watching A, receiving all that awards, what would you think friend B would feel like? For me, if you ask me, it would not just be pure admiration alone, but more of like some self-regrets, some self-disappointment, or maybe B would ask herself like, why is it always A, but not me? And that is what I so-called competitiveness. And I've understand this feeling before because there are some period that I am the person B here. And I used to treat it as a mirror, reflecting all my flaws, insecurities, treating their success as a mirror to me. And I feel like the gap between me and them are so wide, and I feel so overwhelmed. But what if we've been viewing it all wrong? What if that it isn't a mirror at all, but more of like a guiding map? So competitive for me is like a source of motivation that you could continue to improve yourself and you could be able to push yourself further and achieve the awards faster. But here's one main problem. Most of us don't see it that way. We constantly comparing ourselves to others and we suffer from the feeling of seeking approval. And psychologists also suggest that doing that so only worsens your self-esteem, or maybe you view yourself in a more negative way. So that's what I so-called the mirror moments. And we only see our flaws, right? We don't see the opportunities here. So the question here is not whether or not you should be competitive or not, but more of like, who are you competing against with? What if that question is not, how do I beat them, or how do I overcome them? But turn it into, how do I beat that version of myself yesterday? So that's the mindset. That's the beginning of how you could turn that mirror into a map. And here may I represent to you the 3 destinations that I've created. And we've come to our first destinations of self-realization. But first, let me tell you about my story. This is me participating in the Roboticon competition 2 years ago. I was invited, even though it has nothing to do with me. Like I don't know about code or don't know about all those technologies or technical stuff. But just thinking about all my peers were joining and I would have missed out all that opportunities and the thought that they are doing it, so I should be doing it too, right? Make me stay in that competition. So I gathered up my team, did my parts, completing my deadlines, but while my teammates were genuinely so excited, I was just there, trying to complete things. But we did win though, we won the first prize in our group. And when I was up onto that stage, receiving awards, I feel like it's more of like a relief moment that finally the competition is over. Not like, wow, I deserve it. So up to that point, I was thinking, why am I even doing all this? It's such a waste of time. So I learned my mistakes, and every time I keep coming back to social media to see like competitions or people receiving more awards, and I feel like that jealousy is start eating me up, I just pause and ask, okay, is this something that I should participate to achieve my goal faster, or should I be bothered by this? Well, if not, then why should I be thinking about it anyway? So my advice for you here is that every time if you see like their success had made your competitiveness eating up inside you, just pause and ask yourself this. Am I really wanting to do this, or am I just reacting because somebody else is doing it? So after all of that realization and establishing your goals and ambitions, we've come to our next destinations of self-acceptance. Well, every single exam that I have done, I feel like all that studying process does not matter if I don't get that perfect score or I don't get that top score that I want. And it would be unlucky enough for me if I see someone with a higher marks than me. then I would be doomed. I would fall back into that endless loop of replaying, why is she always better than me, or why am I not enough? And after that, I just keep replaying that loop over and over again until I felt so overwhelmed. So after that, no more studying, no more further planning, no more next step. I just stuck into that endless loop. I treat it as the mirror and turn it into an obsession so badly that I forget where am I right now, and forget that to accept my weaknesses, or to forget that I should improve myself. So it just drained my energy. All of that overthinking just drained me so much. So I decided to let it all go, relax, because that's my final straw. But somehow, by doing that it helped me to have a clearer space to think about what are my next steps, and what should I be doing instead of overthinking all of this. So, from my experience, I feel like every time if you feel like your mistakes are so big, or you keep overthinking about that one flaw that you make during your study path, just pause and ask, what are one small thing that you could take on from here? Or what are one simple step that you could move on from your current position? So, after accepting all your flaws and realize what your next step is, or your ambitions, we've come to our final destinations of self-growth. This is where the growth mindset of Carol Dweck, a researcher at Stanford, could be applied to. And she said that our abilities aren't fixed, and they could be further improved. And every losses, every setbacks are not proof that we're not good enough, and they're just data reminding us that what should we improve on from here. So the method is that instead of setting outcome goals, like I must get that top score, or I must get into that top university, just set it into something that is worth celebrating too, such as process goal, like I should study 2 hours a day, or I should try out different study topics. By doing that, you acknowledging your self-development process, and then be able to feel proud when you receive that final results. And while doing all those things, instead of thinking, how do I compete with others, or is my positions overcome her now? Just try to change that thinking into, how do I beat that version of myself yesterday, or am I better than the version of myself last month? So, with coming back to this, is competitiveness a bad thing? For me, it's just like a natural reaction, because we as humans cannot control what emotions that we could have. We cannot control those, but that does not mean we cannot control what our decisions to control things else. So it is up to your own decisions to whether to holding it up like a mirror, reflecting all your flaws, or folding it into a guiding map that you could see all of your ambitions clearly and setting out all your destinations. Realize all of your ambitions, goals, objectives, accept your flaws, weaknesses, and improvements, and grow towards your own finish line and not others. 3 destinations, 1 journey, make it all your experience. Yourself are not defined by who you are comparing to others, but more of like how far you are willing to grow beyond yourself. So, if the next time you feel like that competitiveness or that jealousy is taking over you, just ask yourself, am I growing for myself, or am I just chasing somebody else's dream? Thank you.